Well, good afternoon, Kelly Williams. How we doing, guys? Oh, there we go. Good afternoon, Kelly Williams. How we doing? Everybody good? Mr. Bailey, I'm going to make you a panelist. So just a heads up there. You are now a panelist. So you can easily unmute yourself and talk to us. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Everybody good? Awesome. So,
great, Marty.
There you go. I want to make sure at least one person was listening to me. Thanks, Bailey. Let's go through today. So what do we have today? We have learning about the KW Consumer app, a webinar presented via Zoom webinar. So I am your regional technology trainer for the South Texas region. My name is Marty Miller, for those of you that I have not met. Oops, sorry guys. Having problems with the video there. There it goes. So I am your regional technology trainer for South Texas. That includes obviously Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and then all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley as well. I've been with Kelly Williams for about 6 years now, just over 6 years. I started off as an independent agent, worked about 4 months, closed my first transaction at the end of those 4 months, and then quickly joined a team, became a buyer's agent. I worked as a listing agent. I was promoted to the VP of sales and then VP of expansion, finally became the president of that small team. So I've pretty much done it all with regards to residential real estate production, and growing a team. After that time, I got to become a productivity coach. So I've done the coaching role as well, did that for about 14 months. And then as of the first of the year, joined you guys as your regional tech trainer. So super excited to be here and join with you guys. Today, we're going to be talking about the consumer app. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping and then we will get started. So first of all, this is a Zoom webinar. If any of you have not been on a Zoom webinar before, you may have noticed there's no Brady Bunch view, right? I should probably be the only one that you're seeing. So your cameras are automatically turned off. Don't worry, we can't see you. So if the dogs are running past, the kids are being crazy, we can't hear you either. So the good news is you can kind of be free to take this class at your leisure. Obviously, hopefully paying attention, but we also know that life happens as well. So that's a Zoom webinar. At the bottom of your screen, you should see a little bar. There's a couple of things on that bar. First of all, you should have the ability to raise your hand. If at any point you want to ask me a question auditorily, I guess that's the word, right? You want to unmute yourself. Raise your hand. I can unmute you from my side, and then you can ask your question. We can discuss from there. Down at the bottom, you should also have a button that says chat. So you can click on chat, just like Cameron did already. It said good afternoon. You guys are probably familiar with that aspect of Zoom. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them there as well. This will be recorded. It's being recorded right now as we speak, and I will be uploading the class to YouTube, and I'll send the YouTube link to your leadership team there at the Market Center so they can send it out to you guys. So if you do have to leave early or hop off, or you want to share this with your team, etc., you have that ability. I'll send it the link over as well. So let's go ahead and get started. And let me do this real quick. I'm going to move to sharing my screen on my phone. And you guys will see the KW Realty app button there on the top left-hand corner. Hey, Bailey, real quick, what kind of app is this?
This is a consumer app.
Wait a minute. What kind of app is it, Bailey?
It's for consumers, potential clients, those we want to share with, consumers.
Does that mean we shouldn't be using it as agents?
Absolutely not. It is always good as an agent to know the consumer experience.
Bingo, right? And by the way, guys, you might want to buy a house someday. You might be an actual buyer or seller. Doesn't mean just because you're an agent, you can't use the app to actually buy or sell. So homework item number 1, if you haven't gone to the App Store and actually downloaded the KW Realty app, let's go do that. Right, so make sure that you have it downloaded. You're going to see it's the white background with the red letters. Typically, if you search for KW Realty, you're going to get the app. Now, when you go to that app store, just as if your consumer went directly to the app store, you will be downloading what's known as a non-branded version of the app. So when you click on the app and it opens, your button in the bottom right-hand corner where it says more, if you click on that button, you will not see the bar at the very top that says your agent and then somebody's name. It's actually going to look like this when you have a non-branded version. You can see that this app right now is not branded to a specific agent. So as part of your homework, obviously you're downloading the app. You want to make sure that you brand your app to yourself so you can kind of see the interaction and what happens when you do that. If a consumer goes directly to the App Store, they can download the KW Consumer app without having an agent link. However, the amount of information that they're getting and a lot of the features that they have access to only come after they select an agent. And so in order to find an agent, all I would have to do would be click on that Find an Agent button in the top right-hand corner. And then I can search by either the agent's name, or if I don't know any agents in my location, I can actually search for my location. So let's say I'm looking for an agent in the Corpus Christi area. You can see I put in Corpus Christi and I can select that as a city. And then I'm going to get a list of possible agents. Now guys, I just randomly pulled up this list. I do not know any of the agents on this list, so this isn't to, make anyone feel bad. And yet, let me ask you this, you can reply in chat. Of the 6 agents that are on the screen right now, which do you think the consumer is most likely to do business with? There are 6 agents on the screen. Which one of those 6, right? I know you love them all, and yet which one of the 6 would you say the consumer is more than likely to do business with? All right. One of you is paying attention and the rest of you are like, I don't really know. So there we go. Cameron's answering, April's answering. April, let me ask you, you're the first one to respond. Oh, you're already reading my mind. April, we're right here. We're like literally right here. I was going to ask April why she felt like Peggy would be the one that the consumer would do business with. She read my mind. She's already put in the chat. It's because Peggy actually has her photo uploaded. Homework item number 2, guys. Go to your KW Connect settings and your KW Command settings and make sure that you have fully filled out your marketing profile in both of those locations, kwconnect.com and then agent.kw.com, your command platform. Please, please, please make sure you have filled out all your information in both of those places. I bet if we click on Peggy's name, not only does Peggy have her headshot loaded, she's got her email, she's got her mobile number, she's got her bio, right? So you can see here's a quick and short bio about her. This is what the consumer needs to connect with you as an agent. I'll show you mine because mine is 100% filled out, and it's a little bit unique because I'm on a team or have a team. So if you actually have a team, you can put your team logo and your team name. So you can see I've got Summit Property Group there, and then my team logo. There's the address of my market center. You've got my website listed, my specialties and designations, my cell number. I changed the office number to be my cell phone number. That's for me specifically because obviously I don't office out of any one particular office. Even though I hang my license at Platinum, they could call there. They're never going to get a hold of me there. So I did change that to my cell number. And then you've got a full bio about me, right? So that the consumer can then connect. So this is homework item number 2. Make sure you go in and fill out your command profile and connect profile so that when the consumer goes to do a search, they'll easily see your headshot and your information and make a stronger connection if they haven't decided on who they're going to use next, all right? So that's item number 2. In order to brand this app to me, right? I'm the consumer and I want to brand the app to Marty Miller, the agent. I would click on the Get in Touch button at the bottom. There we go. And once I do, you can see, okay, I want to claim new agent. And it says this designates Marty Miller as your new agent, and I would click on Confirm. Okay, once they do that, typically what you're going to get a little screen that pops up and says success, and it'll say Marty Miller is now your agent. He's going to help you with the buying and selling process, etc. Click anywhere and click off of here. Okay, since I'd already done this, that screen didn't pop up. And that's what it would end up looking like. So you can tell the difference between a branded app and a non-branded app by that bar at the very top. If it says search for an agent, your consumer has not branded that app. You can see at the very top, if it actually has your name, your license number, your photo, then that app has been branded to you. So that's the difference there. You want to make sure that your consumer, and I might even go as far as taking a screenshot of this on my phone, and then when I'm following up with people in my database about my app, if they say they downloaded it, say, cool, just wanted to make sure, does your More menu in the bottom right-hand corner look like this? And send them a screen. That way you make sure that it's actually connected. Or if you're having any issues, they're saying, well, I don't see what you're talking about. Great, just make sure that the app is branded. And if it's not, then you can walk them quickly through that process of choosing you as an agent. All right, so 5 buttons there at the very bottom of the consumer app. You can see Guide, You can see saved, you can see feed, you can see more, you can see search. We're going to dive into search first. So bottom left-hand corner, let's click on that magnifying glass, and we're going to look at different ways that you can search for homes on or using the KW Consumer app. Hey Bailey, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you went on vacation in the US? I know agents don't get vacations very often, Bailey, it's okay. But when was the last time you went on vacation in the US? And I didn't prepare Bailey for this, so he may have stepped away from keyboard.
No, sorry. I was hitting the space bar and it wasn't going. December.
December, where'd you go?
Galveston.
Galveston. So maybe you said, let me think, did you go to the Pleasure Pier where you could ride like the rides and the roller coasters and the Ferris wheel and all that?
No, I went for Dickens on the Strand.
Dickens on the Strand. Okay, so the Strand. Now, maybe you had a great time at the Strand in Galveston. Do you happen to know the address of the Strand? It's all right, I don't either.
No, I just probably put it in the Strand like that.
In search, and am I now taken to the Strand on Galveston?
Yep, that got us near the Strand.
Let me ask you, where do you plan on going vacation this year? Anywhere in particular, like a landmark or a specific, I don't know, a theme park, anything along those lines?
Disney World.
Disney World. Don't we all want to go to Disney World? Hey, what's the address of Disney World, Bailey? That's okay, I don't know either. Disney World. Let me just search for houses around Disney World. Oh, sure enough, there's Disney World. And all I have to do is zoom out and I can start seeing houses that are around Disney World. Bailey, I'm a wine guy. I used to go to Napa Valley pretty regularly, and Silver Oak Winery is one of my favorites. If I wanted to live near Silver Oak Winery, I don't know the address. Heck, I can't even remember what city it's in. But all I have to search for is Silver Oak Winery, and all of a sudden, now I'm taking exactly where Silver Oak Winery is. Now I can start seeing houses around Silver Oak Winery. Want to live near the White House? Well, that might be a loaded question. And yet, we could still search for White House. And now we're taken directly to the White House. How many times did I put the address in on any of those searches? How many times did I even put the city in or the state? Guys, this is one of the things you can show off with your consumer when you're talking to them about making the transition from whatever app they're using to the app that you're using and that you want them to use, is to make sure you're discussing with them, hey, one of the greatest things about our Keller Williams app is that we have an exclusive business partnership with Google, meaning that you can search on our app by any major item that Google has. So think about locations, think about, I want to live near Yosemite, right? We went on our honeymoon to Yosemite. I would love to live there. Maybe it's wine country, maybe it's Disney World or Disneyland. Maybe it's a specific, church name or a specific, I don't know the address of my church. I just know I go out to my neighborhood, I take a right, I go about 2 miles, I take a left, I go 2 more miles and I take a right, and then I'm at church, right? But you could actually search for the church name without the address and that would pop up as well. So these are all examples of how our consumer app uses the partnership with Google to search for properties around landmarks. We don't have to have the address. We don't need to know the neighborhood. We don't need to know the city or the state. We can literally just put in the actual landmark and it will pull that up and then show us homes around it. So key locations, the #1 way that you can search. Bailey, what's a neighborhood you're very familiar with there, or a popular neighborhood in Corpus? Bailey's like, I didn't know I was going to have questions. I'm unprepared.
Kings Crossing.
Greens Crossing. All right, so
Kings.
Kings Crossing. All right, Kings Crossing. Not frosting there. Kings Crossing. Come on, Marty. There we go. Kings Crossing, and I'm going to put in Corpus. Do you see what shows up under neighborhoods? There's Kings Crossing, Corpus Christi. I don't know anything about Kings Crossing, but Bailey told me it's a nice neighborhood. I'd like to go see if there's any homes for sale in that neighborhood. So let me just click on that, and boom, I'm taken from the White House directly into Kings Crossing in Corpus Christi. Bailey, is that Kings Crossing?
Yes, sir.
Here are the homes available for sale, all within Kings Crossing. Here's the other thing, because we searched by the neighborhood name and chose one of those neighborhoods, I can get a quick snapshot of what's going on in the neighborhood. Current stats, what locals are saying. I can see commute times, and here's the deal. These 3 addresses or places that you see, the consumer can actually add those to their account so they know the distance between places that matter for them. And I'll show you in just a second how you do that. I can also see nearby schools and see the rankings there. I can see if there's any private schools. Then our app not only has a connection to Google, it's got a connection to Yelp. So you can see there's the neighborhood, and just outside the neighborhood looks like what, 5 or 6 different restaurants. It looks like there's a shopping center, a gym, and I can swipe left and start looking through. Here are all the different things that are right outside of that neighborhood. So it gives me more information about that neighborhood. Why is it so cool? Well, first of all, you've got all of these amazing restaurants, except for McDonald's. It only gets 2.5 stars, but you know, when in need. It looks like the Nest is a nightlife location that, yeah, it's struggling for reviews, but it's there. So the consumer can come through and see all of these different things that are happening right around, in, or outside of the neighborhood. As we continue to scroll down, I can then see the 10 homes that are currently for sale in the neighborhood and swipe left to see more information about each one of those. And I can do that for any neighborhood that next door, right, which is another one of our partnerships. So again, guys, when you're sharing our app with consumers, they're going to tell you, I already have an app, right? It's going to be that Z1, it's going to be Redfin, it's going to be something like that. And you've got to explain to them why our app is better. So first of all, exclusive partnerships with Google, with Nextdoor, right? With the ability to have a Yelp partnership and see different things that are happening outside the neighborhood. These are all partnerships that we have at Keller Williams already integrated into our consumer app. I can search for any neighborhood that Nextdoor has. It has several 100,000 neighborhoods across the US, right? So one more thing that I can search for, and look, if I say Kings Crossing is nice and I start looking at those price points and say, well, I'm more of a $300,000 buyer, I can also start scrolling, right? And then I can see, okay, Bordeaux Estates, that's right in my world. As a wine guy, let's find out more about Bordeaux Estates. And I can see the information about Bordeaux Estates. I can scroll back out. Let me see, Royal Creek Estates looks nice. It's kind of on the river there. I think that's a river or bayou. I don't know what they are in Corpus, but you know what I'm saying? And so you can get information about the different neighborhoods that are in the area. Maybe my friends live in Kings Crossing, but I'm not quite on their level yet. My 5-year plan is to be there. Let me see what other neighborhoods around can I live in and get more information about. So searching by neighborhood. Jesse, I had to put comma Corpus. So I'm not sure if you just typed in Kings Crossing or if you put Kings Crossing, comma Corpus, it then popped up. So that's neighborhoods. Now we know some people just want to do a good old-fashioned home search, right? So let me come in here, and you'll see at the top of our screen, as I scroll out, I've got 4 buttons. I've got price, beds, property type, and more. Looking on my screen, there are countless homes available for me to choose, and yet some of them won't be a good fit, and some of them will be a good fit. So let's go in and say, all right, price point. Let me say I'm probably looking to spend between maybe $250. I'm holding down the button on the slider and just dragging it to the left. I got fat fingers, so every now and then I don't get it exact. It's a little sensitive. All right, so there's $250. And let's say I'm definitely not in the $9 million bracket. Let's come down. Maybe we're looking between $250 and $400. So I'll slide that bracket over. Now I've got a price point and I can click on done. Now it's going to show me just the properties in that price point. Next, I can click on the number of beds. I didn't tell you, but I am happily married with twin 5-year-old girls, and we are expecting little Lily May on August 18th. 3 daughters means at least 4 bedrooms, so that's 4 plus. I'm going to click on property type. I want a single family home because my dog's got to have a yard. And then I can click on more. I'm going to get additional search criteria. So you've seen price, bedrooms, and property type. Now I can click on to listing type, and I can choose whether I want to see pendings. It defaults to just active. I don't know why many consumers would want to see pendings and just have their heart broken about a property they can't buy. But you can see there's some other items on there. Now I will say, as we continue to develop out each MLS individually, some of these buttons don't all work. I'll say, for example, foreclosures and short sale are pulling up 0 data in the Houston MLS, but they're working on it. So if you have any struggles with any of those buttons, just know that there are 1,400 MLSs in the US, and they have to map each one over individually. And anytime one of those MLSs makes any sort of change in their system, then we have to go back in and remap. So just kind of give Keller Williams a little bit of grace in that matter, if you will. Go ahead, Bailey.
This is something we've had to deal with locally because CCAR changed their IDX feed in February.
Yeah.
So KWRI is still kind of updating that recent IDX change.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the MLS there sent Keller Williams an email and gave him a heads up that it was coming, right?
Oh yeah, but I followed up with them about a week before it actually went through and we got it resolved.
Yeah. So the likelihood most MLSs, I mean, think about how many different brokerages are out there. The MLSs are typically not emailing KWRI or whoever else, right, and letting us know, oh, by the way, we're about to screw your data up because we're making a change. So a lot of times it is, uh-oh, it's broken. What happened? Then we get a hold of KWRI. They realize that something changed on the back end and they go in and remap it. Sometimes as a process. So have a little bit of grace as far as that goes. If I want to look for lease properties, I have the ability as well on my screen. So you can see, I can say instead of for sale, right below for sale, that box is for rent. And I can toggle that over and now I'm going to be looking at properties for rent. I'll go back to for sale and keep scrolling down. 3 girls means I got to have at least 3 bathrooms. So I'm going to click on 3+. Let's see, living area. We're in 2,500 square foot now. That's been fun during the quarantine, let me tell you. But we're going to need at least 3,000. And who wants to clean a big house? So let's say we want it between 3,000 and 4,000 square feet. And the rest of the criteria are available for you to go through as well. And once I've established all the criteria that I'm looking for, I can click on done. And now I'm only seeing properties. For some reason, when you search that criteria, the price doesn't always stick. So just know that sometimes you have to come back in and resave the price. We've already submitted that as well. And yet you got to make sure that that price button is lit up. So we said, what, 250 and 400? And I'll click on done one more time. And now you can see that I have a list of properties on the screen that are between 250 and 400,000, 4+ bedrooms. They're all single family properties. We showed you earlier, I had to have at least 3 bathrooms and I'm looking for 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. Now, let me say, well, I'm looking at this map and I would really like to be close to the water. In fact, let me scroll out just a little bit. And I don't know, so if this is not correct, have a little bit of grace. But I really want to live in this area because this is where all the nice houses are. I clicked on that little draw button in the top right, the finger, and then I pushed down on the screen and I just started tracing the area that I wanted to look at homes in. It's a great way if you don't know the name of the neighborhood, or maybe the neighborhood is 2 sides of one street, you really want to live on the east side or the west side of the street, whatever it may be, that you can define the actual area that you want to live in. Now, this has taken us some time. It's probably took me about 5 minutes to set up this criteria. And if I already know that every time I look for a house in Corpus, it has to have that criteria and in this area, I can click on the ribbon at the top right and click save. And this is actually going to allow me to save this search so that I can easily access it in the future. So I'm just going to put Corpus Christi and save in the top right. And now you'll see it saved it. When I click on the heart button at the very bottom on our little toolbar next to more and guide, I click saved. You'll see now I have recent saved searches on the bottom half of the screen. And you can see there's my Corpus Christi search. I can click on that and be taken right back to that spot. Let me say we moved around the map and we were doing yada, yada, yada. Oh man, what happened to my Corpus Christi search? I can click on saved, then click on Corpus Christi, and boom, it takes me right back to that exact area and all the criteria that I used to save that search. So this is how the consumer can save their searches, so that each time that they come into the app, they can view properties that are in that actual setup that they've done before. Now, how many of you, by show of hands, and there's a little button down below that should say raise hand. If you've used a Zoom webinar before, you're familiar. Raise your hand if you're like me. You walk by, you drive by, you bike by a house, and you see a for sale sign. And you don't care. You just are nosy. You want to know how much is it. Like that house is way too small, it's way too big, it's way too pretty, it's way too ugly, but I'm just curious. I want to know how much it is. But I don't even know what street I'm on. I'm not really sure what neighborhood this is. Man, it'd be nice if Google could just, or the app could just tell me right here, right where I'm standing. Well, you'll see at the very top there, if I click off of my filters, right? So you got to make sure, whoops, excuse me. Let's go back into the search and I'll click on more. I want to clear my filters in the bottom left-hand corner. This is what it would look like if I had just opened the app, right? I have no filters, nothing set up. And I say, hey, KW app, tell me how much that house right here is worth. At the very top right corner, you'll see that there's an arrow. It's cockeyed slightly to the left. If you click on that, That's based upon your current location. So Google, or excuse me, the app and Google correspond based upon the GPS located in your phone and immediately take you to right where you're standing. So if I just biked by this house right here, I could click on it and say, yep, that's the one, the blue garage doors. Oh, cool, there's the information on the property. So that's another way that you can search within the app, because how often are you driving? You're like, I don't even know what street we're on. How many of you guys have gotten sign calls before? They're like, oh, I want to know how much the house is. And you're like, well, which listing, sir? We have several. Like, I don't know where I am. There's just a sign in the yard. So again, a great way for the consumer to use your app. If they don't know where they are, what street they're on, what neighborhood, just click on that arrow in the top right-hand corner. It's going to zoom in immediately where you sit or where you stand in your car or walking or wherever you are, and then show you the properties for sale around you. The last thing that I think is really cool when we're doing searches is the ability, how many of you from the agent side of things, right, and think about it from a consumer side as well, have gone on a showing with a buyer or gone on a listing appointment, and you get to the house and you're like, ooh, I wish I would have known it back to that, because I know they're not going to want to buy it, or I know I have to struggle to sell it. Whether that's a car wash, or maybe it's the local high school gym, like the marching band is out practicing behind this house every day, and you're like, how am I going to sell this? So you actually have the ability within the KW Consumer app to click on the More button at the top right-hand corner. And then you'll see there's two tabs there. We just spent some time in the Listings tab, kind of filtering our search for the property we were looking at. If I click on the Map tab in the top right-hand corner, you'll see I now have two options. I've got Default, and then I've got Satellite. If I click on Satellite, and then click on Done, guess what happens? I'm now taken to an aerial satellite shot of the property. So you could actually zoom in. Let's just say you were helping me sell this investment property that I'm sitting in right now, and you said, hey, the CMA is weird. I'm getting 175, 185, 180, and then I'm getting 500 and 525 on these other two properties that they say are nearby. I don't understand why there's such a difference. You can start zooming in, right, on my house. I'm just basically putting both my thumbs down on the screen and I'm dragging out. So drag out to zoom in. And you can all of a sudden see, oh, wait, well, that's interesting. Marty lives at the far north side of what looks like a kind of a master plan community there. However, right across the street, those look like much bigger homes on much bigger lots. Those look like they're 2-acre lots. That's probably why. It's probably pulling in some of these bigger homes on my CMA, and I just need to eliminate those. Also, you could always come in and say, okay, I'm going on a listing appointment, and let's say, I'm trying to find, where is it? Let's go down Avenue D, and all of a sudden you're saying, okay, cool. This is the property I'm looking to sell. It looks like a really nice property. Look at that. It's got a pool. Everything looks good. Oh, but wait, it backs to a gas station. That's going to be a tough sell, right? It backs to an auto parts store. I just know this is a gas station and auto parts store because it's my neighborhood. So it's a great way to kind of determine, both when you're working with buyers or sellers and they ask you about a property, you can literally pull it up in your app and say, okay, let me check out what's around it and get a kind of a better understanding of what you might be up against when you go on that showing or that listing appointment. So again, if you ever want to switch that back, you're just going to click on More on the top right-hand corner. And again, click on Map towards the top right. And I'm going to go back to default. Now I'm going to get back to my street view where I can see the neighborhoods and the names of the streets, but I can't quite see that aerial view. So you can definitely toggle back and forth and then train your consumer to do the same thing. Again, these are things that not every real estate app has. And guys, you're going to have to kind of sell, if you will, our app to get somebody to change, right? Think about it. Why would I leave Bank of America to go to, I don't know, Chase? I've been using Bank of America for 10 years. You got to tell me why Chase is better than Bank of America. So this is a little bit of that training that we're going to have to do with our consumers in order to get them to use the app, is kind of tell them all these things that our app does that their app most likely does not do. All right, let's pull up a listing and let's start exploring. So let's just choose one. Here we go, 419. Where'd it go? How about 432? There it is. All right, so I can click on any one of these listings and it's going to start pulling up at the bottom there information about the property. I can drag that property up by kind of holding my finger on the picture and then just dragging it up. And then I can get all of the information in one screen. So at the very top, you can see I've got pictures of the property. and I can just swipe left and I can go through all 40 of the pictures in this case that have been uploaded to the MLS. Just below the pictures, you're going to see 4 pieces of information. You've got the price, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and the square footage. There's some white space between the price and the address. So if you see it on the screen, if there has been a recent price decrease, you're going to have a little jagged arrow pointing down, and it'll tell you the dollar figure of that price decrease. So it might be 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, whatever that decrease has been. Underneath the address, you're going to see 3 buttons in a smaller little area there. So we have the ability to save, hide, or share this actual property. So if this is one that I really like, and maybe it's one I want to send to my realtor, or I just want to keep an eye on it, we're probably going to buy in the next 3 to 6 months, but I just want to keep an eye on this one. I can click on save, and you can see that's going to say, all right, do you want to save this to one of your collections? Now, by default, the only collection they're going to have is called their name favorites. So Bailey's favorites, April's favorites, Blair's favorites, that'll be in there. And they can just easily save it to that collection. However, at the bottom of the screen, you can see that we can actually create our own collection. So I could click on create new collection. It's going to say, what do you want to call it? I could say, maybe this is old Katie Homes. And then I would click on save, and then the radius button right next to it. And now I've actually saved that property to that collection. If I ever want to come back and say, okay, I want to see, whoops, I want to see all of my Katie Homes, I can just scroll down. And then at the very bottom, again, we go back to that heart, the save section. And now at the top, right, we looked at the bottom earlier on our recent saved searches. Now we're looking at our collections. And you can see there's the collection that I created called Old Katie Homes. I can click on it, and then I can see any of the properties that I had added to this collection. And I could actually even put in a note if I wanted to, like, this is the one with the great backyard, and it only has 2-car garage though, whatever that might be. So the consumer can actually come through, just like the reference has always been like Pinterest boards. They don't have to use it just for homes that they're looking to buy or sell. But it might be great kitchens. If you're looking to do a kitchen remodel, hey, what's the best way to get inspiration? Go online and look at homes for sale that have amazing kitchens. Save them to your collection and show those photos to your contractor. Amazing pools, well-landscaped front yards, big garages, whatever it is, right? So they can create their own collections, not only for properties that they're looking to buy, but properties that are looking to inspire them or whatever it may be. They can also, right, at some point, I would love to live on Lake Travis, right? I'd love to be on the water with a boat slip and a boat, and just, you know, water life is kind of my retirement plan, if you will. So I could start right now. I could literally go search for properties in Lake Travis, even though I'm probably 15 to 20 years from that point. But just to kind of be inspired next time I have a stressful day, I can just be like, oh, 20 years from now, I'll be on the water, right? Maybe it's 5 years, who knows? And yet you could create those collections and start seeing those different things. You could create collections for homes that were for sale in your neighborhood, even if you're not looking to sell, just so you can kind of get an idea of what the price point is. So all the different ways that you can create collections within the app. You can also see, because I saved or hearted, if you will, that property, it shows up with a little heart now that I'm looking on the map. So it just makes it easy to find that again. You can see previously I hearted that property when I taught this class at another market center. And so I can just see the ones that are favorites on my actual map. Going back into the listing, sometimes you're searching for properties and you look at the property. I'm going to unsave this one. Actually, it's not. I have to go into the collection to remove it. So, but I can also say, hey, I don't want to see this property anymore. I've looked at it, doesn't have a 3-car garage, therefore it's not a winner. I don't want to see this property anymore. So the consumer can actually click on hide. The eyeball turns red. And now when I come back into the map, you'll see that that property is no longer showing on the map. It literally will disappear from the map. If for any reason they're like, oops, I didn't want to do that, they can come back to the very top right corner where it does say more underneath that location arrow we talked about earlier. Scroll to the very bottom of this listing filter, and they're going to see the last option is show hidden listings. They can click on that and then done. And there's that property in the gray showing back up, 419. Let me click on it, and then I can come back and unhide it just by clicking on hide once again. And now it'll show back up on their map. The last button is called share, so they can easily share any listing from the KW Consumer app with a husband, a wife, a business partner, a friend, a family member, whatever it may be. All they have to do is click on share. And you can see they can share it via direct text, just a regular text, mail, Facebook, any other kind of communication program they have on their phone. When they share it via text, you can see it's a very basic text. It just says share property and then the actual link. Now this link does not take their person to the consumer app, just so you know. It takes them actually to a web page, a landing page, if you will, of that actual property. So it's not the best way to get someone else to download the app. There is the ability to share the app from within the app. However, it's shared as if you were a consumer. So I'll show you that in just a second. But this is a quick and easy way to share it. I could share it via email if I wanted to, Facebook message, whatever that looked like. Next, you've got two buttons that are very important and very helpful. You've got the Keller Mortgage button and then Keller Covered. So if your consumer is looking to save money on their home loan, they can go directly through Keller Mortgage. If they're looking to save money on insurance, they can click on the Keller Covered button and get information on running some insurance quotes as well. I really like this for a couple of reasons. One, obviously when I was in production and Keller Mortgage was still coming out, I was doing my best to talk about it to all of my consumers, but sometimes it would just slip my mind. There was always the concern that, man, if they find out that I had access to Keller Mortgage somewhere down the road after I helped them buy and realized that they paid more money for the local lender that I was recommending than Keller Mortgage, they might get upset with me. And so I'm not saying that I just recommend Keller Mortgage. I recommend Keller Mortgage and my local lender. And my local lender has even told me to do that. Like, sure, bring it on, because I can't make myself look good unless you allow me to compete against other people. And so that's exactly what he does. He talks about his value proposition, and then Keller Mortgage obviously talks about their value proposition, and the consumer can ultimately decide. So it's kind of the great CYA about having both of these buttons in here. It ensures that I never forget to tell someone about it because it's right here on my actual app. Next, if you scroll down, I can get a description of the actual property, which is pulled from the MLS that the agent put in. Just below that, you're going to see some information. Bailey, let me ask you a question. Who's the listing agent on this property? Who is the listing agent on this property? If anyone else knows before Bailey responds, feel free to throw it in the chat.
I can't actually tell.
Wait a minute. You can't tell who the listing agent is?
I can see what board it's from, and I can see, well, it looks like it's a FYI Realty.
Interesting. So the listing agent's name and phone number is not listed on this actual listing. So if you had questions, Bailey, who would you call?
I would hit that Ask Your Realtor button at the bottom and ask my realtor.
Absolutely. Guys, this isn't necessarily a selling point for the consumer per se. It needs to be a selling point for you. Your consumers are utilizing real estate apps that quickly and easily provide the information for either their premier agent, right, or the listing agent, and not you. When you work so hard to get a contact actually converted into a potential or future client, you don't want to send them to an app that quickly and easily allows them to circumvent you and cut you out of the deal. Right? And I know that this happens, and we all know that this happens. We want to do our best to see what we can do to prevent this from happening, because we know, one, we're going to take amazing care of them, and two, it took a lot of work to get them to the point of them actually using an app. I want to make sure they're using mine. So in Texas, we're required to provide the brokerage information and then which MLS it's being pulled from, but we are not required to provide the listing agent information, although they will find that on those other apps. So if there was one more selling point as to why you want your consumers using it, this is an additional one, because if they had any questions, they want to schedule a tour, they want to know how big the pool is it saltwater or freshwater, or how many bedrooms are, is it a half bath or a full bath, whatever, they would just click on Ask Your Agent, which would then alert you, and you can be the hero coming in and answering those questions and setting up that tour. From there, you can see home details. It's just some additional information actually about the property, also being pulled from the MLS. And then I get some information about the neighborhood. So earlier we were searching for properties by neighborhood. Now we've searched for individual listing. However, I can still get all of that same information about the neighborhood. I can get a basic market snapshot, and then I can actually click on Explore and then see all of that same information that we were looking at for Greens Crossing or Kings Crossing, whichever it was, I can't remember. But here's the other cool thing, guys. For this specific listing, you can see which schools it's actually zoned to. So this listing is zoned to Bryant Elementary, Katy Junior High, and Katy High School. How often do your consumers say, well, how good are the schools? And what's your choice, right? You don't know what to tell them because it's like, well, they're okay, they're good, they're bad. I'm not supposed to be the source. We're not supposed to be the source of the information. We're supposed to be the source of the information. So one more selling point for the KW Consumer app is the fact that the consumer can actually look up any listing on the app anywhere, right? And actually see what schools are zoned to and then see the actual statewide rankings of those schools as a percentage. Now, in this case, Bryant Elementary, I know because that neighborhood's right behind mine, they just opened it. So they haven't even had a full year. Talk about an interesting first year of opening. They didn't even get to finish their first year. But that's why the ranking is not available and why that student-teacher ratio is so off as well. But 81%, that might be good, that might be bad. I don't know. What's the school scores that you're coming from? If your typical neighborhood that you grew up in, it was like 60 to 70%, you're like, wow, the schools in Katy are great. Then you might look at a neighborhood where it's in the 90%. And they're like, wow, those schools in Katy are okay. So it's a great way for you to be the source of the source and let the consumer app be the actual source and that it's providing that information. You can also see private school information as well. We talked about the different places being powered by Yelp. You can see those at the bottom. And then all of the homes that are also for sale within that neighborhood. If I really like that neighborhood, but maybe not that house, then you can see there's a lot of other houses that are also for sale. Back to the listing by clicking in the down arrow at the top left-hand corner. And after I scroll past the neighborhood, you can see that I get what locals say. Now that's powered by Spatial.ai. That's a company that examines thousands, if not millions of data points. The best example I can give you is anytime you sign up for a Costco card or a Kroger card or any loyalty card, really, they typically ask you for your address, right? You've got to register to get the discounts that you're getting. Well, they're tracking all of that data, right? That data is being sold by all of those companies to companies like Spatial.ai, and then they are examining all of that data. So into gardening, okay, so what would happen, right? So maybe there's a ton of sales at Home Depot, the local Home Depot for, I don't know, potting soil and plants, but they all live in Cane Island apparently. So these are different things that can be tracked in order to kind of get an idea, a feel for what the neighborhood's all about. Walkability is sourced by a company called LiveBuy. Basically kind of talks about, okay, well, you know, what's nearby and do they have to drive or walk? It's just kind of a random score, not a random score, but a score that kind of tells you how walkable it is. Commute Times, and I'm going to show you how to put these locations in next. But you can see from this specific listing, those three addresses, one is my home address, the one in the middle. The one at the top is actually my market center address, and the one at the bottom is Keller Williams Realty International. So if I wanted to know, hey, if we move here, but my parents move into our old house, how far away are we from mom and dad? If I move to this house, how long will it take me to get to my market center if I'm traveling back and forth to the market center? And just for kicks and giggles, I put in KWRI. If I had to drive from KWRI, which I have to do pretty regularly, how long will it take me to get there from this new address? And I'll show you how the consumer can actually put those places in, just like you can as well, in just a moment. Again, the school information, open houses. I can calculate a mortgage payment. Just be careful on that. There's no taxes included in the calculation of this payment, so they want to be probably using a lender site as compared to or working with directly with the lender to get an idea. But it gives them a rule of thumb, at least kind of an idea. And then as you scroll down, you're going to get more marketing information and then the legal jargon included in my legal footing and then Keller Williams' actual footing as well. So let's look at places real quick, and you can see that on every listing. So if I click on the down arrow to get back into my search, I'm going to come into the More button. Again, bottom right, we're going to click on More one more time. And the second option down is called My Account. So if I click on My Account, you can see that Places is that third one down. So if I click on Places, I can have up to 3 different places within my app. So let's just say I take out KWRI, I'm gonna hit the trash can and delete that place. Let's click on my home address and delete that. Let's say I love Trader Joe's. Like I gotta be close to a Trader Joe's. I don't know, do they have those in Corpus, Bailey? I don't know if you'll have Trader Joe's down there. But anyways,
No, we don't.
Cool. What's that?
We don't.
Don't? Okay. What's the cult grocery store or the cult restaurant there that everybody likes to go to and like you gotta live nearby one?
Honestly, we just have HEB and Walmart.
HEB. Okay, so let's click on, I want to live near an HEB. So I could click on add another place. And then again, I don't even have to have an address. I can search for HEB, right? And there you can see there's 5 HEBs that all pull up that are near this actual property. The one that I like to go to is the one off of the Katy Freeway. So I'm going to put that in. And then you can see now it's going to tell me, all right, let's add another place. Let's just say it was Lifetime Fitness, right? How close am I to the gym? All right, so it helps if you spell right, Lifetime Fitness. And it's going to pull up, okay, here are all the Lifetime Fitnesses that are nearby, right? And you can see, oh, it's actually 2 words. Let me put Lifetime Fitness, there you go. And so pull it up. The one I like to go to is on Cinco Ranch Boulevard, so I'm going to select that one. Now, when I come back in, so I still have my business, right, where my office is. I've got my favorite grocery store and then my gym. I can come back to any one of those listings. And now let's see how far it is to each one of those. So I'm going to drag up. I'm going to keep scrolling. And now I can say, okay, cool. So it's a 33-minute drive to work. It's going to take me 26 minutes to get to the grocery store and then 15 minutes to get to the gym. But maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, or I really love working out one way or the other. And I can say, how long would it take me to bike to the gym? Well, I can click on biking, and then I can say, wow, it's going to take me 40 minutes. All right, cool. What about walking? Maybe I want to walk to the grocery store. Well, probably not walking to that grocery store because it's going to take me 6 hours to get there, right? So it's a great way. A lot of times I've had consumers that have said, hey, we're a single vehicle family. My mother-in-law lives with us, and she likes to walk to church every day. Okay, great. So what's the church name? And then we can zoom in on that church by looking at the search, right? Remember how we look for places? You could search the church name, then put in the address of the church as one of their places. And then as you look at each one of the listings around the church, you'll get an idea of how long it takes you to walk to that church. And so these are just, again, some of the things that the consumer app can do that set us apart. These features are not included in all of those other apps that they're using. So again, more and more ways to kind of get information. We talked about schools earlier as well. Bailey's at Corpus Christi Independent School District. Is that what it's called down there?
Yes, sir.
So I could actually put in Corpus Christi Independent School District. And there you can see there's the actual school district. I can click on it, and then it actually zooms me in and says, okay, cool, here's all the houses located in Corpus Christi School District. Right, so just one more way additionally that they can search, not only by key locations, but things like school districts as well. I know in Katy, we literally have 3 school districts. We're kind of like the triangle where we've got Katy Independent School District, Fulshire School District, and then HISD, Harris County Independent School District as well. So you could say, hey, I only want to be in Katy ISD and search by that school district, and it would show you only the properties where Katy ISD's boundaries are. So another cool way for your consumers to use the app if there's a specific school district that they want to be inside of.
I would maybe check because Corpus has Corpus Christi ISD, but then we also have Flower Bluff ISD, which is different.
Cool. So I could come in and say Flower Bluff Independent. Is it independent? Is that what it's called? Flower Bluff Independent School District?
It should be, but it doesn't look like that one's coming up.
Don't know where that took us.
That white square to the right. They're saying just search Flower Bluff, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see.
You are.
What's that?
FLOUR. Like the flower.
Oh, that's probably why. It would help if I knew how to spell flower. All right, so Flower Bluff. Now at the very bottom there, you can see Flower Bluff Independent School District, and I can click on that. And there it's going to give me the boundaries for Flower Bluff as well. Sorry, I was just thinking flower like the flower blooming. So again, a great way, like you said, okay, hey, I got to be in Flower Bluff, not Corpus Christi. And they could search by the boundaries and see the different school districts and say, okay, cool, I can see where that line draws between Flower Bluff and Corpus Christi and see the difference between the two. All right, so we have spent some time, a lot of time in the search button. We've spent some time in the more button at the very bottom. We spent some time in saved, so I can see my saved properties, my saved collections, and my saved searches. Feed right now is being developed as we speak. So right now, if you click on feed, you're not going to get anything to happen. And you can let your consumer know that this is one of the aspects that we're still building out as far as our app goes, and yet it's really promising. We're actually going to have the ability to communicate back and forth directly within our app, and that's going to happen within the feed menu. It's still under construction, if you will, but all the placeholders are there because we know it's coming soon. The middle button at the very bottom is called Guide. So I want you all to click on Guide. Once you click on it, you're going to see you have two tabs. You've got the Buying tab and the Selling tab. What this is literally when your consumer downloads your app, you are telling them, you are inadvertently or knowingly, depending, now knowingly, setting an expectation for them of what it's like to work with you when they are either buying a home or selling a home. And so they can actually scroll through this buying guide, see the 9 steps that have been put in here, that they think you put in here, by the way, and they can click on any one of them and get more information. So what's it like to tour homes with Bailey? They can click on that if I have Bailey's app, and my assumption is that this is the process of what it looks like to tour homes with Bailey. Okay, now if this isn't how Bailey does business, then Bailey's going to want to make some edits. On the listing side, right, the selling side, how many of you believe that there's only 5 simple and short, easy steps to sell a house and then we close? Right? I mean, anybody that's a listing agent, you know, yeah, there's a couple of other steps in there. Now, here's the good thing about KWRI. They've made each one of these steps very detailed, right? So you can see this is a lot of information about what it takes to sell a house, just when I'm in the showing your home step. Now, my personal opinion is I want the consumer to actually see more steps, because then each time we check one off, it looks like we're doing something. We already have to fight for our 3%, and I don't want the consumer to come into my guide and say, I'm paying you 3% to do 5 steps? Seriously? So I'm going to show you, we're going to dive into Command in just a second and show how you as the agent now, right? We took off our agent hat when we started the class and we put our consumer hat on. Now we're going to switch it up. We're going to take our consumer hat off. We're going to put that agent hat back on and show some of the relationships and the things that we can do in KW Command that impact the KW consumer app. The next piece of homework that you guys have is come into the guide. It's important that you know what these steps are, because you are, like I said, setting these expectations for your consumer. They don't have any idea that KWRI built these for you. They think that you spent the time of actually building all of this out so that they would quickly and easily know what it's like to buy or sell a home with you. So you need to know what expectations you're setting so that you make sure you deliver on them. And if you know you're not going to be able to deliver on them, then you're going to want to make some edits. If there are some things that you do that are not included in these guides, then you want to make sure you add those in as value adds, saying, hey, when you work with me, you get these extra things that I do as well. So the ability to actually edit the guide is under Command Consumer. So I'm going to stop my phone share, and I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get rid of the placeholder, and now we are in Command. Okay, so you should see my Command screen on your screen, and the consumer applet is typically the second to last or last one, depending on if you have listing consult or not. But we're going to dive into consumer. And when we do, there's 3 tabs along the top of the screen here. You can see landing pages, agent site pages, and guide builder. Guide builder is where we want to be. So I'm going to click on guide builder. Right now, there's only 2 guides available for you to assign, and they are automatically assigned to every contact that downloads your app. However, just so you know, they are working on the ability in the future for agents to create their own custom guides, meaning that I could create a first-time home buyer's guide. I could create a luxury home buyer's guide, farm and ranch buyer's guide, right? And do all the same with selling guides as well. It might be a commercial, it might be investor, it might be raw land. So we know the steps are a little bit different in each one of those. So the future is coming in that we could build out those guides and then assign them to each person that downloads our app. We could say, this is the default one. However, I want the ability to actually go into this person and change their app or their guides within their specific app to be these guides here. Okay, so that's coming in the future. Right now, auto assign the buying guide and the selling guide. However, if you want to come in and change these, you have the ability to click on the pencil next to either one of the 2. So let's just click on the selling guide. You can see that their defaults are 5 steps. show, review, inspection, appraisal, and close. If you want to see any changes that need to be made to any one of these steps, you can actually just click on the step, and you can see you have the ability to change the image, right? The card image. You guys may have some homes in Corpus that look like this. There's no homes in Katy that look like this, right? Stucco and palm trees. I always think that that's like South Miami or Florida, somewhere in there. I don't know, Corpus is kind of I don't know, maybe you have houses that look like that. If you do, great, leave that picture there. If you don't, might want to consider changing just that photo, okay? The card title is here showing your home. So you see you can change the card title. You can change the card subtitle. I kind of think of this as like teaser text, that once they click on this step, they get taken into the workspace detail text, and they can see all of the information included in there. Now, here's the deal. I would think about showing your home as a little bit of putting the cart before the horse, because I would argue that there might be steps even before that. Things like staging your home. And I could build out a step, and there's probably information about staging your home in this step, but I think that it's confusing because we don't show the home and then stage it, right? First, we stage your home, and then we would talk about some of the information, the things that happen when we're staging the home. You know, add fresh mulch, power wash your driveway, plant some flowers, all those types of things. You could say preparing your home. A second step might be preparing the home for photography and videography, which could include things like, hey, make sure all your light bulbs are working and that they're the same wattage. Make sure that all your blinds are facing upwards because light on the ceiling makes it a bigger room. Make sure none of your ceiling fans are on because that creates a blur in the photo. Make sure your vehicles are out of the driveway because when we take the aerial, we don't want vehicles in the driveway. You know, any of those types of things. Make sure your pool's clean. Make sure your patio cushions are all out on your patio furniture. These are all things that you could include in the preparing your home for photography and videography step. Then you could have one that might say preparing your home for the MLS step. And that talks about getting the photos back from the photographer, adding in descriptions of photography, loading the video into the MLS, uploading the video to YouTube or whatever channel you have your marketing videos on, and all the things that you're doing, right? So it's the way to kind of make it more detailed of the steps. They should look at it and say, okay, that's gonna be a 15 to 16 step process. And I'm gonna show you in just a second, a way that you can check those steps off for the consumer as they are completed. So the consumer always knows, where are we? When they call and they're freaking out, what's the question they usually ask? Where are we and what's next? This guide answers those questions for them when it's properly built out. So if you need to change any of the steps that are included, I showed you how to do that. At the very bottom, you can click on add a step, right? So this might be the preparing your home for staging step. And I could talk about what the subtitle is. I could add a photo. And then once I click on continue, the step is created. Then I can edit that text by actually clicking on the step itself. I can also reorder them. By default, the new step shows up at the bottom. If you wanted to move it up, you would click on these 6 little dots and you would drag it upwards to reorder the number of the steps, kind of where that goes. And then let go. And of course, at any point, once you're done and you've made changes, you would want to make sure you click on Save Changes to update that guide. Then that new guide is going to be the guide that shows up on your consumer app. Here's a good deal, guys. Think about it, 165, 170, depending on who you ask, 1,000 agents in Keller Williams. If there was only one person per agent downloading the consumer app, that would still be close to 200,000 users. That would all have the same guide experience, except for those consumers that work with you. Because I can tell you this, I've taught this class many times, I will teach it many more times in the future, and there's going to be a small percentage of you that actually go in and do this piece of homework. Learn the guides, edit the guides, customize the guides, so that you can make sure that it matches your experience, what it's like to work with you. And you can do the same thing, obviously, for the seller's guide as you do in the buyer's guide. You can come in and make your edits on the buying side as well, right? So those are the two different things, buying guide and selling guide. How do you move somebody through the actual process? First of all, you have to make sure that you have built a contact for that consumer. That contact record has to have the same primary email as the email they used when they registered for the app. So it's important that they have the same actual app, the email, excuse me, they're using between both. However, when you come in, you can actually click on opportunities. Hang on, guys, I apologize, I should have had this turned off, so that's not annoying you or me.
And that can be easier than it seems, because if you've shared the app, when the consumer signs up with your branded app, it creates a contact in your command with that email and automatically links them to your command.
100%, as long as they're not already existing in your database. So that's the thing. You just want to make sure if they're already existing and you're sharing it with them from within command, and you're sharing it with existing contacts, when you send them that link, typically they should be using the same email. I've just had a couple of issues where they could not see the guide, and it was because the custom guide, and the agent couldn't see the connection. It was because they used a different email address. So just make sure that they're using that correct email address, the same one. And obviously, if they use a different one, you can always go into the contact and edit your contact record. How do you know that they have actually downloaded your app? There's a couple of different ways. First of all, once you've created the contact and you go in to create an opportunity with that contact, Elaine is one of my friends who's downloaded my app. I know she's downloaded my app because within the actual opportunity, I can click on seller profile. Many of you have never seen this tab or don't know what this tab does, but if you click on seller profile, you can now see app association, and it says, yep, Elena is registered with your consumer platform, meaning that she either registered on the agent site or registered on my app. In this case, I know she registered on the app because I had her test it for me. Next, I can manage the guide within Elena's app. So I can actually click on this Manage Guide button. Now she is a listing opportunity. You can see at the top here, it's my listing pipeline. She's a listing opportunity. So therefore, she got auto-assigned the listing guide. She's probably not using the buyer guide. I'm not checking anything off there. But it says you are currently managing the seller's guide. Here are all the steps that are defaulted, right? I only have the 5, and yet if I built out 10 or 12 more, you would see them all here. And then I could say, yep, we made appraisal. I'm going to complete that step and save changes. Now, whenever Elena goes into her app, she's now going to see a check mark next to that actual step. So she doesn't have to worry about it anytime, right? She wakes up at 2 in the morning saying, I just don't know what's next. She can pull up the app and see what we've done and what the next steps are. Also within her contact record, you can see if I go to her contact, I can now see that I have checked off that step within her actual contact record. So it's going to show me on the activity side of things, on the right-hand side, it'll show we have completed that step. So if you're on a big team and you have an admin or somebody that's, a transaction coordinator that's walking your people through, you can actually see whether or not they are completing those steps for your people. So we can actually let's go back through contacts. Anytime we go slow, it means a big push is coming. So I'm excited. I don't know what this is, but it's also Tuesdays, right? Today's Tuesdays. Tuesdays are deployment day, so always exciting to do live demos on Tuesdays, because typically if there's anything that's going to be updated, it gets updated on Tuesdays. So if this ever happens to you guys, I mean, first you can always refresh, right, which I've already done. And then worst case scenario, I'm just going to start a new one, close the old one. Let's see if that comes out. And then there's the old tried and true, going in through incognito and seeing if we can get in from there. While these work on getting us in, right? Like I said, big update, don't know what it is, but something big's coming. We can talk about what that process looks like. So essentially, they're actually going to see anytime you make an update. Here's some other things that are coming in. Literally, guys, this is within the next few days as far as I understand. So let me show you, while that's working, things that are going to be happening very soon within the app and your consumer site. Whoops, went too far. We'll come back to that in just a second. So with regards to contacts, those of your agents that are your consumers, excuse me, that have downloaded your app, today is the 28th, right? April 28th. So if you're watching this later, this may have already happened, so don't freak out. This already does this. Okay, great, you're watching a recording. But as of today, it doesn't do it. As of very soon, it will be doing it. You will be able to see within the activity side, right, of the actual contact search, the criteria that your actual consumer is using to search for. So in my case, you would have seen 4+ bedrooms, 3+ bathrooms, 250 to 400, single family, right? All of those things that I put inside. You're going to see when they've registered on the site. We viewed 2 different neighborhoods earlier. You saw us view Cane Island and we saw Kings Crossing. So we'd actually know within the contact record of my contact within, right, and this is whoever the contact was, you would get to know, okay, they're actually looking at specific neighborhoods. Guys, what a great way to get more information about a neighborhood you might not be familiar with. It's probably important that you know those neighborhoods if they're actually clicking on them, right? Because they might call you and say, hey, what do you know about Kings Crossing? And I can say, well, I think the average price point is in the 400s. They're zoned to some pretty decent schools, and I can get you more information about that. Looks like the majority of them are, you know, staying on the market for about 90 days, etc. Right? Any of the information that I just pulled off of the neighborhood site, just like they could as well. You're going to see when they create and edit a collection, and you'll actually see the listings that are included in those collections, which is pretty nice. Anytime they just click on a random property, you're going to get a line in your actual activity panel that shows they clicked on a property. So you can click on that listing and see. And then you're going to see anytime you have actually completed a guide builder step. So let's see if it's back up. And this must be huge, whatever it is. All right, so while we wait for that, there's also going to be featured listings that are going to be coming soon. So you're going to have the ability, to show your featured listings on your agent sites, and then it'll be a default collection within the consumer app for anyone that's registered on your app. So you can be able to select up to 12 different listings. You can see it's going to be a new tab here on the screen within the featured listings portion, right? Can you guys still see my screen? It's going to be a new tab within the consumer tab, right? Remember we had general URLs, featured listings. I'll show you this in just a second, not this part, but the URL portion. But you'll be able to add featured listings. Now they don't automatically update. So a heads up is you're going to have to kind of keep on them. You don't want someone to go to your site a month from now, you had 12 featured listings and they're all under contract or sold. That doesn't provide value to the consumer, right? So making sure you're staying up with that. If you have no featured listings, don't worry. It doesn't create a collection and have nothing in it, or doesn't have it on the site that says, oh, I'm sorry, Arturo has no featured listings, right? Just picking on your Arturo, I'm sure you have plenty. And yet, if you don't have any, what's that?
Will there be a possibility for them to set a criteria for featured listings to say, I always want a feature?
Yeah, as of right now, version 1.0, I think it's actually going to be like you select the listings and check them off to say, these are the ones I want included. So I don't think there's any automation of the process right now, as of right now, again, version 1. But that's coming soon. And then the next thing that's going to be happening in the consumer app is that your consumer will actually be able to request a tour of a property from within the app, which is pretty cool. They can request both an in-person tour or a live video tour. So you can see here on the screen that they have a choice at the very bottom there. They can ask the agent a question or they can request a tour. You can see on the middle screenshot there, they can decide when they'd like to request that tour. So up to 3 different dates, 3 different times per day. And then are they interested in an in-person or a live video tour? If they want a live video tour, then you can see there's 6 different options that they can choose from, and they can add some additional notes. When that happens, you get an update within your command that then shows up, and you can see it starts off with contact requested a video tour. Here's the listing. You click on view request, and you'll get this pop-up that then says they want to see this listing on the 30th, 31st, or 3rd. Here are the times of day they're available. Here are the platforms they are requesting. Now, it doesn't mean you have to use those. You and the consumer are going to work that out together. But you'll then see notes that they have put in their request as well with regards to what sort of video tour, any feedback, anything else that they have going on. So all pretty cool, and that's literally supposed to be happening within the next few days. So keep an eye on the App Store. We talked about the custom guide builder. The future, you'll be able to actually create your own buying guide or your own selling guide in addition to the ones that have already been created for you. So think, again, you could have a buying guide that's specific for tenants, a selling guide specific to landlords, first-time home buyers, luxury, etc. So just some cool updates that are coming down the pike here pretty soon. Let's see if we get back into command in just a second. Let's see if I can get in from here. What I was going to show you next, guys, is your ability to see within your command database, your contacts, how to search for people that have downloaded your app. Okay, so how people have downloaded your app. When you're in contacts, it's the second applet down, you can click on contacts. In the middle of the screen towards the top, there's a filter button. So if you click on filter, a little slide comes out from the left-hand side. And in the bottom right, there is a new drop-down box, and it says branded to me. Branded to me is what it says. So you're going to click on contacts and then filter, and then the little slide comes out from the right-hand side, and you would click on branded to me. It'll say yes or no. And when you choose yes, then you're going to see all of the contacts in your database that either came in from registering on your site or registering on your app. Now, what it doesn't show is okay, hey, these are all people that were already in your database and then went and downloaded your app, because those people were already in your database. Think about running ads on Facebook and you're having people download it there, or you're sending out maybe a direct email campaign to email address you have, right? A list of people that you have. Maybe you're sharing with people at the open house that aren't in your database, but you're sharing with them how they can download your app. Those would all be examples of how people could download your app and then come into your database. With regards to your app, there's actually 3 different ways that you can share your app. The first way is you can actually find your direct link. It is actually, let's go back and see the slides. And so on the screen that you can see here in the background, this is consumer. And then you can actually click on URLs, this little button right here. And towards the bottom of the screen, you're going to have your actual app URL. And it'll actually say something to the effect of kwri.app.link, I believe, /, and then it'll have a uppercase code. That is your specific code. So you want to make sure when you're sharing that with people that you share, that is, first of all, it's case sensitive, and you share that exact code with them. So if that was just a one-off text message, a one-off Facebook message, an email to somebody, you could share that quickly and easily with any of your consumers. The next option, and guys, just so you know, I have, I'm gonna send you this video recording, but I've actually done this class multiple times now. So I'll send you the recording for any of those other ones that you can go watch from this point forward. And obviously we know this has to be something really big happening in Command if it's giving us a full server error. So I'm excited. I think I know what it is, but I don't want to tell you just in case. So get excited. Once it does fully come out, you'll be excited that you were there when it was happening. The second option is we actually have a smart plan, a custom smart plan it's called Promote My App. So the smart plans applet, it's the 4th one down. It looks like a diploma. You can click on that applet and get taken into the smart plan applet. At the top, you're going to see My Smart Plans and then the Smart Plan Library. If you click on the Smart Plan Library, typically the Promote My App Smart Plan is the very first one you're going to see at the top left-hand corner. So if you have not added that to your personal library, at the bottom right, there's a button that says Add to Library. You would just click on that, and that would then add that smart plan into your personal library. Now that smart plan is 3 steps. It starts off by automatically sending them out an email about your app, why they would want to download it, kind of talks about some of the different features that it has, and they can actually put in their phone number into that page once they're taken there and get a text that comes to their phone where they can download your app there. It's going to wait, I believe it waits 1 day and then sends a text as long as you have Twilio connected that says, hey, have you checked out my new app? And it gives them the link for your app automatically populated into that text. And then it waits 3 days and it sends them a second text. It says, hey, a property for sale in your neighborhood just went under contract. Have you seen it? Check out my app, and gives you the link. So that's the second way, is to start getting the contacts in your database on the Promote My App Smart Plan. Bailey, are you incurring the same thing? Are you having trouble getting in? I want to make sure it's not just me on my computer.
Give me 2 seconds. I'll run a test.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Finally, the third option is under social posts. So within campaigns, the campaigns applet, it's the megaphone button, right? I think it's number 5, number 6, somewhere in there. If you click on the campaigns applet, you can actually get taken into campaigns. At the very top of the screen, you're going to see several buttons. It starts with dashboard, email, mailing campaigns, and then you have the ability, cross your fingers, I think we might be in. to actually do a social post, which is free. It's a way for you to quickly and easily post to your attached, right, the ones that you've set up in your settings, your Twitter or Facebook pages. So it's your Facebook business pages that are tied to your actual Facebook profile. When you get in there on the right-hand side, first you want to click on social post at the top. And on the right-hand side, as you start to scroll down, you're going to see, typically there's a neighborhood video, and then there's two what we call quick posts. They're towards the bottom right. Both of those quick posts, actually the entire library of those quick posts, all have to deal with you sharing your app on social media. So if you click on any one of those, there's a little arrow in the bottom right-hand corner that kind of points out of that listing, right, or that little quick post. If you click on it, it's going to open up that quick post for you. You'll see the text is already filled out. There's already a professionally designed marketing photo that has to deal with the app itself. And then from there, you'll actually have the ability to decide, okay, do I want this to run on my Facebook business page, on my Twitter account, or both? And you can decide, do I want this to be posted immediately? Or you can actually choose to schedule the posts. And then from there, you can actually decide what day and what time you want those posts going out. So it's kind of a cool way. It literally takes about 3 minutes, maybe, to schedule one of those posts, as long as you're going with the ad content and the ad text that they're using. My recommendation is that you guys take about 20 minutes a week. I don't care when that is, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, Monday in the afternoon, right? And sit down on a time blocked 20-minute period and plan out anywhere from 3 to 5 posts to go out on your Twitter and business pages. And again, guys, when you use that quick post option, then you have the ability to quickly and easily then just post those. You don't have to think, I'm not good at Facebook. Guys, that's fine, because the post has already been created for you. And then you can quickly and easily just create that post just as if you created it yourself, schedule it to go out, and you can say, I want it to go out Monday morning, and then I want this one to go out Tuesday morning, and then this one to go out Thursday morning, and this one to go out Saturday morning. When you are in that section of KW Command underneath social posts and you see those two quick posts, just above them, kind of towards the top right, there's going to be a button that says Shuffle. If you click on Shuffle, it'll actually change those two that are there to 2 new ones. And then if you click on Shuffle again, it'll change it again. And then click on Shuffle again, it'll change it again. I think there's anywhere from about 10 to 12 already pre-populated quick posts in that library. There's also one, if you hit it a few times, you'll get it to pop up where it's the actual video from Family Reunion about the consumer app. It's 2 minutes long, very professionally done, really looks like a great video. And you can post that one as well. I would highly recommend that one goes out every single week. So if you're doing 3 or 4 posts, make sure at least once a week you're posting that video. Now, I have had some people say, well, Marty, I don't want to be over posting. Guys, here's the reality. The Facebook algorithm prevents that from happening. I mean, the reality is you could have 100 fans or friends, whichever it is, and you post one of those things, what, maybe 2%, 5%? I don't know. Bailey, do you know the actual percentage? I mean, it's a really small percentage of your people that will actually see that post. So the reality is you could post 5 times during a week, and 5 people will see it Monday, 5 different people may see it Tuesday, 5 different people may see it Wednesday. So you don't have to worry about necessarily overwhelming them. I think I would always err on the side of posting too much than not posting at all. Because what happens is when you meet a consumer, you go on a buyer appointment or listing consultation, they are going to look you up, guys. And they're going to find your Facebook business page. And if you haven't posted on it in 6 to 12 months, guilty as charged, right? I'm kind of the pot calling the kettle black over here. However, if they see that, they may have questions about your professionalism or your marketing skills, etc. So I would highly recommend 20 minutes a week, schedule out those 3 or 4 or 5 posts quickly and easily from the quick post option. So sorry that we couldn't show that to you. Again, I'll send you the other video from the other class when we didn't have command come down during it. But do you guys have any questions or comments so far? So again, remember, download the app, brand it to yourself, fill out your marketing profile in Command and Connect, go through the guides, right? Spend time filling out those guides, making sure you're familiar with the guides, that you do everything the guides say you do, and that the guides say everything that you do. Go play with the search functions. Guys, look for landmarks, look for school districts, look for the satellite view versus the standard default view. kind of learn the consumer app as the consumer would learn it. Just pretend like you were going to move. If I gave you $500,000 today and told you you had to be moved out of your house within the next 45 days, where would you go? And go play with that, right? And see kind of that the app as the consumer uses it. And then get in on the agent side, right? Start looking at the Share My App Smart Plan. Start looking at the ability to do quick posts within the campaign section. Bailey knows how to do all of this. Everything that I've just showed you or not showed you, either way, Bailey is familiar with, and he can definitely help you in that process as well. So let's see, anyone have any questions or any, I don't see anything in the chat. Bailey said that you guys are getting those KW red cards. Dude, those are awesome. Just so you know, I have it. So here's my wallet. My wallet just kind of sits here on my desk. And the other day I laid my phone against my wallet with a Mophie cover on it. And of course the leather wallet, but I have it kind of in my business card section. It literally asked me if I wanted to transfer the information. So I was pretty impressed. I was like, man, it's not only going through the Mophie cover, it's going through the Mophie cover and the leather. So
Hey,
not guaranteeing the same results for you, obviously.
So I did a class on using those social posts, doing the social media scheduler and the quick posts.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are looking for this, since unfortunately Marty couldn't show you today, we have it saved in our family group under the units with all of the Zoom classes that we've been teaching during our stay-at-home orders. So there is one there for y'all.
Awesome. Yeah, and go through, like, check out that video. Man, I love it. I just love the soundtrack too. It's like a really like pump you up kind of soundtrack, if you will. So check out that video. Make sure it's always included when you're scheduling your posts as well. But guys, that's it. That's the consumer app. One, I wish I was there because I love Corpus and I love love being by the water, obviously, as I've already told you. And I just like giving out handshakes and hugs. So I can't wait for life as we know it to get a little bit back more towards normal, if you will, and get to see you guys during Q3. But of course, if you need anything, Bailey's an amazing tech driver there at your market center. I love all the things that he's doing in his world. And of course, if he needs anything, he knows how to reach out to me as well. So we will get the link to this very interesting training sent over to you guys. And like I said, I'll send over a couple additional links so you can see the second half on one of the ones where Command wasn't updating a major platform. And just as we go to sign off, Command comes back in. Let me quickly show you in campaigns, assuming that it's going to work, where you find those quick posts if you haven't seen that before. And if it doesn't go through, then we'll just sign off. You can watch Bailey's videos. So looks like it's still going to go slow on us. That's okay. I'm going to go as soon as we get done with this call and see if the things that I believe are came out, and then I'll be posting that later, letting Bailey know so he can share it with you guys as well.
Garrett and Nimesh were training also, and apparently it went down on them.
What's that?
Garrett and Nimesh, it also went down on them too in the middle of training.
Yeah, you know, we run a risk every Tuesday. It's just going to be real, right? Anytime we do a training on Tuesday, and I do them every Tuesday, I do them every day.
I have 2 days or tech days, so I do Tuesdays and Thursday classes, and I'm always hit on Tuesdays.
Yep, always fun. So anyways, guys, y'all have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will look forward to seeing you guys during Q3, if not before. Hope you have a fantastic day.
I know we all really appreciate it, and we look forward to getting the link so we can share it with the rest of those who couldn't make it today.
Awesome. I'll have it to you within, hopefully by end of day, if not tomorrow morning.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You guys take care, guys.